Alright, welcome back, 5th graders. Good morning or good afternoon. In this video, I'm going to be explaining step by step how you can create a still life with repetition and contrast like Yayoi Kusama. So the inspiration for this project was in the last video. It is Yayoi's pumpkins. And as you can see, and as I explained in the last video, she does really fun, colorful pumpkins with these patterns of different sizes of dots. So we're going to be using this painting here as our inspiration, our main inspiration. And we're going to be making our own still life artwork. For the materials that you need, everyone will need an object, a still life object such as a vegetable to look at. Or if you can't find an object that you really want to draw, you could use a picture of one. You'll need paper, pencil and eraser, and pen or Sharpie. And then hopefully you have something from these optional materials over here. I used markers because they're nice and bright, but you can use whatever you have available. So let's get started. Once you have your supplies, set it up on your work table with your thing to draw and your supplies and start sketching. In the beginning, it's just going to be sketching like still life, sketch what you see, notice the object that you're drawing, how it looks, how big are each part of the object, what happens with the lines. I had to look and see where it's bumpy, where it's not bumpy on my pepper that I drew. And you might identify as well what areas pop forward and what areas go back. On mine, it was kind of like a dip there, it was lower, and here it was popping out more. So I drew that here on my still life. And that helped me a lot later when I added the dots. So step 2 is to start sketching your circles or your dots. And you're going to want to start with the big ones on the areas that stick out the most. Notice her sculpture example here where the biggest dots are on the biggest areas, which helps it to pop out and look more 3D. So, I don't know if you can see there, but I have put the same on my peppers here, the biggest dots first on the biggest areas. Okay, so once you've got those on there, well, I guess I didn't say, but start adding the medium-sized ones. And then what I did, I mean, it's up to you if you want to go in a little bit different order, but what I did next was I decided to create an effect of repeating peppers, kind of inspired by the mirror rooms with repeating and repeating pumpkins. So in order to make that a little bit easier for myself, I covered up half of the pepper with a paper. So I only looked at the bottom half and I only had to draw the bottom half again. And when I drew it, I made that a little bit smaller, but repeating the same shape, the same lines to draw it again. And then I continued with that until I had filled up the edge of the paper with a few of those on the bottom half. And the more you add, the easier it gets to make that shape again. So then I went ahead and I did the opposite. I covered the bottom half of the pepper, and then I was looking only here at the top, and I was doing my best to repeat the shape of that a little bit smaller. It might not look exactly the same, and that's fine. And so go ahead and do that if you want to make your still life have more than one of your object like Yayoi Kusama. Or maybe you'll find another way to include more of your object in the page than I did. But I wanted mine to pop out, so I did it like this. And then once I had all those sketched on there, I could outline with Sharpie. If you have Sharpie, that will be great. If you don't have Sharpie, well, color them first and then put the dots second. But I had a Sharpie, so that gave me the opportunity I could do this way. And what I did then was I started outlining everything, including the big dots. And after I outlined everything, then I started filling in the dots and coloring in the big circles, medium, and then for the small ones, just placing them in a row next to the medium ones. So as you can see, this matches like how my original pepper looked with the bigger parts on the outside and this lower shadow part on the inside. So I did that here to make my drawings look a little bit 3D as well. And let's see. So remember, if you're doing the dots first, you have to be doing it with Sharpie or a permanent marker. Otherwise, you're going to be doing the coloring step first. So here I have what it looked like once I finished all the dots. It already looked pretty cool. Like this could be a finished project basically, like that. When you put the dots purposely in the best place. But what I wanted to do is make it nice and bright and colorful like Yayoi Kusama. So here, step 10, I was erasing any pencil that still showed. And then step 11, I was coloring. You can watch these videos in the slides. It shows how I just took the marker I wanted and just colored right over on top of those dots without worrying about going around them. And it was faster that way because I used Sharpie. So remember here, if you didn't use Sharpie, you can't do it like this. So you're going to have to color first and then go back and put the dots on top with a marker. Okay, so this is just an example of how it grew from light to dark so that my colors would pop out more. I used those marker colors. And I kept doing the halves equal, like symmetrical on both sides of my biggest one to help it look more 3D. If you decide to do yours with repeating like this, you can also switch it up and you can do them all the same color, or you can do a pattern, whatever you think will look best for you. And then finally, some finishing touches, some options. You could add a little bit of shading, like I did on this pepper, by taking a little bit darker color and putting it in there on top of your original color, using the marker just right on top. And then adding a fun background. So Yayoi used to, in her painting, put different shapes in the background. So that will look nice. Or you can also add patterns. You can also make your own fun background. Here I was making it patterns like Yayoi Kusama, and here I wanted to really give some space around my peppers so that they would really catch the attention. The focal point would be here. So I did something else for my background on my peppers. So it's up to you what you want to do for the background. And so that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this video was helpful. When you finish your still life, like Yayoi Kusama, to share it with me, remember that you need to turn it in. Take a good photo and turn it in by saving it in your Art Google folder. Alright, so, and this also reminds you here that you can use the Flipgrid for your class and add a video explaining how did your artwork process go. Alright, well, enjoy. I hope you enjoy working on this fun variation of still life inspired by Yayoi Kusama.